Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all and welcome to our web conference for the celebration of the 10 years of the Athens Business Confucius Institute. Today, we have the honor to host distinguished speakers who will deliver their speeches on the future of a prosperous collaboration. The main objective of this conference is to promote business opportunities and collaboration between Greece and China. The event has been organized by the Athens Business Confucius Institute in partnership with the AUEB, under the auspices of the Chamber of the Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. Today's conference is composed of a set of welcoming speeches, invited talks, and a roundtable group discussion. Questions for the roundtable group discussion can only be placed into the chat box during Part C. Thus, we are kindly ask participants to introduce themselves and to keep their questions short and concise. I also would like to remind everyone that we are recording this web event. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Wang Qian, Minister Counselor, Chargé d'Affaires and Interim, Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Hellenic Republic. Mr. Minister.
Hello, everyone. Honorable Deputy Minister Sirikos, Honorable Rector Forantonis, Honorable President Xia Wenbin, Honorable Chairman Provatas, distinguished guests, friends. Tomorrow, July the 1st, is the 100-year anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. This important anniversary gives special significance to our conference today. On behalf of the Chinese Embassy in Greece, I would like to extend our warm welcome to all the distinguished guests present today, and our special thanks to the Business Confucius Institute of Athens University of Economics and Business and the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation for preparing and hosting this event. I would also like to extend my congratulations to the Business Confucius Institute for your 10-year anniversary. China, like Greece, is an ancient civilization dating back to thousands of years ago. However, these past 100 years were really an extraordinary period in our history. Chinese Communist Party, relying closely on the Chinese people, has surmounted obstacle after obstacle and gone from victory to victory, making great historic contribution to the Chinese nation and significantly influencing the development of the world as well. This year also marks the 200th-year anniversary of the Greek Revolution. Our two peoples share a natural affinity with each other based on our common cultural heritage and historical experiences. Since China and Greece established diplomatic relations in 1972, our bilateral ties have enjoyed sound development. In 2018, Greece became the first developed country in Europe to sign the MOU on Belt and Road cooperation with China. In the following year, Greece became a new member of the China, Central and Eastern European countries mechanism. Through our joint efforts, the Boreas port has weathered the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and remained a leading port in the Mediterranean. Greece is also an active participant to economic and trade platforms such as China International Import-Expo and China Central and Eastern European Countries Expo. In November 2019, Chinese President Xi Jinping paid a milestone state visit to Greece, opening a new era in our relations. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 last year, China and Greece have fought in the pandemic in solidarity, further deepening our comprehensive strategic partnership. Looking to the post-COVID-19 era, our cooperation will enjoy greater potential and brighter prospects. We should seize the opportunities to further promote the development of China-Greece relations and China-Europe relations, deepening practical cooperation and delivering more tangible benefits to our two peoples. China and Greece will hold the Year of Culture and Tourism this year, which is an important consensus reached by President Xi Jinping and the Greek leaders. Educational exchanges is an important part of culture and tourism year activities. At present, universities between our two countries have signed dozens of cooperation documents. 3 Confucius Institutes have been established in Greece. Last year, the online Chinese language classroom at the universities of the ASEAN was successfully launched, which is the first of its kind in the world. The number of Chinese students studying in Greece has been increasing and vice versa. These newly launched programs taught in English for undergraduates in Greek universities are attracting more and more talented Chinese students. I wish today's conference a complete success and look forward to hearing your insights on China-Greece cooperation. I also want to take this opportunity to inform all of you that our embassy is holding a series of events to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CPC, including online picture exhibition and movie shows, etc. We welcome your participation in these celebrations. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. We continue with the welcome speech by Professor Dimitris Bourandonis, Rector of the Athens University of Economics and Business. Mr. Rector.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be with you today, hosting this important online conference to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Business Confucius Institute. The conference is organized by the Athens University of Economics and Business under the auspices of the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. It aims at promoting business opportunities between China and Greece. As some of you may know, the Business Confucius Institute in Athens was established approximately 10 years ago. It's the first Confucius Institute in Greece and one of the very few Business Confucius Institutes around the world. It's the result of the significant efforts that have been made between the Athens University of Economics and Business and our partnering university, UIB, in Beijing, under the continuous support, encouragement, and guidance of the Confucius Institute headquarters. Let me remind you that due to the Confucius Institute activities and conferences held every year, we have the opportunity to develop further our collaboration with UIB and to meet colleagues from around the world. Unfortunately, due to the COVID crisis, this conference had to be held online to ensure the health and safety of all participants. It's my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you participating in today's conference. I wish I could be able to shake your hand and enjoy a personal conversation with each of you. However, now that we are approaching the end of this pandemic, I'm confident that we will all emerge stronger, collaborate more intensely, and organize new and more interactive activities. On the occasion of the conference, I must emphasize that it's our constant endeavor to further develop the Business Confucius Institute. Our institute is the center for those who wish to learn Mandarin Chinese and become acquainted with Chinese life, culture, philosophy, and business. It is the center for those who want to learn more about China, the giant who constantly represents peace, tranquility, and harmony throughout the centuries of its long history. We at the Athens University of Economics and Business envision our BCI as a center of excellence for promoting Chinese culture and business in Greece. Today's conference proves our university's commitment to achieve this goal. I would also like to take this opportunity to personally thank the Deputy Minister of the Hellenic Ministry of Education, Dr. Evangelos Serigos, the President of the University of International Business and Economics in China, Mr. Wenbin Xia, the Minister Counselor at the Embassy of China in Greece, Mr. Wang Qian, as well as the Chairman of the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation, Mr. Provatas, for supporting and promoting this conference. I would also like to thank the professors from 4 different Chinese and Greek universities who are going to share their knowledge about China and Greece bilateral relations, collaboration prospects, and differentiating factors in Part B of the conference. Finally, I would like to thank the members of the 4 very important Greek and Chinese companies, as well as our discussant, for helping us in understanding better China and Greece business opportunity and entrepreneurial challenges that will be analyzed in Part C and D of today's conference. As Director of the Athens University of Economics and Business, it's my pleasure to declare the 10th year our Business Confucius Institute conference officially open. Let me conclude by thanking all of you for your active participation and inputs, which will be essential for the successful and productive completion of today's important event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. Now I give the floor to Mr. Wenbin Xia, President of the University of International Business and Economics in China, who will talk on UIBE and the successful collaboration with the Athens University of Economics and Business. Mr. President.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Minister Serigos, Minister Wang Qian, President Aeronautical Mr. Provence, and distinguished guests, good morning to you all. It is a great pleasure to participate in the anniversary celebrations of Athens Business Confucius Institute and the web conference. In this lovely and energetic season of early summer, I would like to send my sincere greetings from Beijing to my friends in Greece. BCI in Athens was established in October 2009 on the cooperation between Athens University of Economics and Business and the University of International Business and Economics. It is the first Confucius Institute in Greece, as well as the first Business Confucius Institute in Europe. In the past 10 years, BCI in Athens has continued to make great efforts in its main course of teaching Chinese language with one affiliated Confucius classroom and 5 teaching premises. It has offered more than 200 classes, attracted more than 280 learners each year, and conducted nearly 100 HSK exams. In particular, since November 2017, the Institute set up the teaching spot at the part of Piraeus, helping nearly 60 employees of the part learn Chinese every year, which has become a good example in serving Belt and Road initiatives. In the past 10 years, BCI Athens has been actively promoting exchange between Chinese and Greek people. It has organized 10 summer campuses to China, organizing a total of 200 participants visiting Chinese to experience Chinese culture firsthand, and a total of 77 students from the Confucius Institute were awarded scholarship to study in China. In the past 10 years, BCI in Athens has been promoting exchanges between Greece and China in various fields, in addition to organizing all kinds of forums, lectures, and culture performance. Every year, the Institute has successfully organized 8 Chinese bridge competitions in Greece. More than 20 teachers, training sessions, and 4 Sino-Greek economics and trade forums. In particular, the International Conference on Leadership and Management in a Changing World Lessons from Asian East and West Philosophy in 2000 and the Sino-Greek Economic and Trade Forum Business Fair in 2020, where those and occasions among the local community. The outstanding achievement of BCR in Athens over the past 10 years are inseparable from the strong support of the AUEB and the sincere cooperation between the AUEB and the UIEB. The 2 universities have expanded their cooperation to more fields, including research and development, culture exchange, and talent training through the Confucius Institute platform. In the future, UIB is willing to cooperate with the AUEB to support BCI in Athens to strengthen its business practice and to promote its high-quality development. I would like to express my thanks to all of you for your continued support to BCI in Athens. UIB will join hands with the AUEB in the promotion of education and culture exchanges between Greece and China, as well as of the friendship between the 2 peoples. Wish this forum a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Fotis Provatas, Chairman of the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. Mr. Provatas will talk about collaboration between China and Greece and the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. Mr. Provatas?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You can't imagine what a great pleasure is this for me today, after 10 years, to participate in this celebration of 10 years of Confucius in Athens. For 10 years now, Confucius Business Institute in Athens and the Economic University of Athens, they are trying very hard to bring to the Greek youth not just the Greek language, not the knowledge of the Greek, of the Chinese language, but especially the great world of the Chinese civilization. And they are trying very seriously to bring near to the Greek society the modern reality of Chinese society, of the Chinese economy, and of the Chinese political realities. Ladies and gentlemen, just 10 years ago, the same period, we created the first group of what later became the Chamber of the Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. In the beginning, it was just a group of consultants who were trying to promote the relations, the economic relations between China and Greece. Later, we were transformed in a Greek-Chinese Economic Council, and nearly later, we were recognized by the Greek state officially with a decree of the President of the Greek Republic as the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation. Today, the Chamber has about 300 company members, and I would say, beginning from our members are from Athens Stock Exchange, the Union of the Greek Exporters, the Chamber of the Professionals and Traders of Athens, the Port of Piraeus organization, the COSCO Greece, Air China Greece, and 20 more Chinese companies which are based in Greece. The Chamber is present for about 10 years in dozens of Chinese cities, either with business delegations or attending specific economic events. On the other hand, we organize in Greece meetings with Chinese delegations visiting our country and Greek counterparts, as well as we facilitate B2B Greek-Chinese business events. Of course, because of the pandemic, we have a break of 1.5 years of our personal presence, either in China or of the Chinese business people in Greece. But all this time, we are in very close contact online with the Chinese business and state officials. And especially the last 6 months, we participate in numerous events with business delegations, in online congresses, seminars, and B2B meetings, which are organized either in Greece by us or in China by our Chinese counterparts, as well as by Chinese organizations. Especially the last 3 months, we are preparing the conditions for a coming soon new opening of the borders, as we hope, And we make all the preliminary work for the establishment with the initiative of the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation of the Silk Road Mediterranean Alliance, an organization for the promotion of the Greek-Chinese economic cooperation with members, business companies, and organizations from the 23 Mediterranean countries. Finally, we wish more success for Confucius Business Institute and for the Athens of the Economic University of Athens. And for the 10 years, we wish to be, and we wish to be again here after 10 years to celebrate the 20 years event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Provatas. Now, I would like to present our Vice Rector for International Cooperation and Development, Professor Vasilios Papadakis, who will talk on international collaboration and partnerships at the Athens University of Economics and Business.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be with you today celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Athens Business Confucius Institute. Athens University of Economics and Business is the premier economics and business university in Greece and the third oldest university in the country. AUEB has 101 years of operation and hundreds of thousands of graduates and undergraduate and graduate students. So Athens University of Economics and Business is the premier economics and business university in Greece and the third oldest university in the country, as I said before. We have realized very early that in the current global environment, individuals, firms, universities, and nations depend on each other for prosperity and progress, and that the development of multiple modes of international cooperation is of vital importance. Therefore, AUEB has very early decided to actively participate in the international environment and develop international collaborations to enhance its impact and recognition through excellence in research and education. To achieve these goals, we have realized very early that bringing together Greek and Chinese civilizations, enhancing the cultural ties between the two countries, and sharing best practices was of vital importance. That is why we have set up the Business Confucius Institute in Athens with the aim to develop a number of educational and cultural activities. We are very happy to celebrate the 10 years of Athens Business Confucius Institute. Moreover, investing in its international presence, AUEB has developed the strongest and most successful Erasmus program in Greece. Every year, more than 250 European students select Athens as a place to spend 1 or even 2 semesters. More than 8,000 students have participated so far in the Erasmus program at AUEB. In the context of the Erasmus Plus program, AUEB has more than 240 interinstitutional agreements with universities throughout Europe. Third, the university offers 28 master's programs, 8 of which are taught entirely in English, and they attract international students. These English-speaking master's programs range from MSc in economics to business analytics to our international MBA, our international shipping, finance and management, our marketing and communication, and others. Our strategic goal is to significantly increase the percentage of foreign students studying in these English-speaking programs. Finally, AUEB participates in numerous international organizations and international rankings of institutions of higher education in order to improve the services and to further strengthen its international standing and visibility. In addition to the above, we are embarking on a renewed international growth strategy, which explores possibilities to collaborate with international institutions on providing, for example, joint dual bachelor's and master's degrees, on creating joint short programs like summer schools and executive education programs, on creating English-speaking undergraduate programs targeting solely international students. To implement these goals, we have signed MOUs and we are deepening our collaboration with prestigious US and European universities, including Indiana University, Keele School of Business, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and many, many others. China represents a significant part of our future internationalization strategy. Not only because of its global economic and business significance, but because we put great value in the fact that China and Greece enjoy a long history and represent two great civilizations, being respectively the cradles of West and East culture. Concerning Chinese universities, we are in contact with UIB and the Beijing Language and Culture University to collaborate under the Erasmus Plus ICM program. At the same time, we are in contact with other universities like the Southwestern University, the Hebei University of Economics and Business, and others. And through these collaborations, we aim to actively promote the development of the Chinese-Greek cooperative educational programs, to allow the exchange of faculty members and to foster student exchange between Greek and Chinese universities so as to promote the quality of education and nurture students with an international perspective. We concur with the title of the present conference on the 10 years of Athens Business Confucius Institute, and we indeed envision a future of prosperous collaboration.
Thank you, Professor Papadakis. We continue with Alexandros Papalexandris, Assistant Professor, Co-Director of Business Confucius Institute at the Athens University of Economics and Business. Mr. Papalexandris will talk about the 10 years since the establishment of the Athens Business Confucius Institute and the way forward.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on whether you're attending this conference from Greece or from China. Distinguished guests, it gives me great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome on behalf of the Business Confucius Institute of the Athens University of Economics and Business. And I would like to truly express my gratitude to you all for attending this conference and for celebrating with us the 10-year anniversary of the Athens BCI. The Athens BCI, which is aimed at promoting business opportunities and collaboration between Greece and China. As the co-director of the BCI at AUEB, allow me to comment now briefly on the 10-plus year achievements and history of the Business Confucius Institute that we are particularly proud of. First of all, our BCI is the first Confucius Institute to be established in Greece, the only Confucius Institute in Greece, and one of the few Business Confucius Institutes around the world. It is the result of the partnership between AUEB and UIB in Beijing, our partner university, under the sponsorship and guidance of the Center for Language Education and Cooperation of China, and under the support of the Chinese Embassy in Greece and the Greek Ministry of Education, for which we are deeply grateful. Now, allow me to share with you some key figures since the establishment of our BCI. We have achieved remarkable growth and consistent growth, I would say. So we gave the opportunity to more than 3,000 students to learn Chinese at the beginner level, all the way to the advanced level, and even people who learn business Chinese. We have partnerships with the Piraeus Port Authority and Yordanakion Elementary School, among others, to teach the Chinese language to Greeks. We have awarded more than 75 full scholarships to students to study in China. We have performed several cultural activities indoors or outdoors, and including this one, we have organized a total of 5 Hellenic Chinese business conferences, opening up fresh opportunities for Greek and Chinese businesses to explore further collaboration. At this point, I would like to personally thank the rector and the deputy rector of the Athens University of Economics and Business for their support and guidance. And I would also like to thank Ms. Hongwei Yan, my co-director at the Business Confucius Institute, and Dimitra Klouvatu, our administrative assistant, for all the help and support that they have provided in this endeavor. Also, at this point, I would like to list a few of our significant accomplishments at our BCI, which include a very high level of stakeholder satisfaction, be it students or be it businesses that have benefited from our conferences or from our trainings, and also a very high success rate of 98.5 in the HSK examinations for Chinese Mandarin. So these are some of the things that we are proud of. Having said that, I can assure you that it is in our interests and priorities that our BCI will make an impact on business and cultural events in Greece. All of us at the Athens University of Economics and Business envision our BCI to be a center of excellence towards promoting Chinese culture and business in Greece and helping Greek businesses and people succeed in China. In closing, some of you may not know that this conference is special and for another reason, as it coincides with the 200 years since the Greek War of Independence in 1821 in Greece, and with the 100 years plus since the establishment of the Athens University of Economics and Business in 1920, and the 10 years since the founding of the BCI at the Athens University of Economics and Business. As such, we're confident that this conference and our BCI will be another strong link to bring both Chinese and Greek academia, business, and people closer together. Both our nations share thousands of years of history and cultural tradition, which values peace, friendship, and excellence. Holding such high aspirations relied on mutual trust and respect. I am confident that this conference will actively contribute to the strengthening of our cultural and business ties. In closing, I would like to say that I'm very much looking forward to all the very interesting presentations, both from academics and from people in business, which are included in this conference. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you, Professor Papalexandris. And now we are entering part B, the main speeches, with the topic of China and Greece bilateral relations, collaborations, prospects, and differentiating factors. We continue with Professor Xiaopeng Yin, Executive Dean, Professor, Research Institute for Global Value Chains, University of International Business and Economics, China. Professor Yin will talk about international trade and Chinese economy.
Thank you, organizer. Thank you, the chairman and it's great friends and colleagues. I'm happy to take this opportunity to share something what we talk about. And the topic what we actually is the topic I would have given, but this topic is a very huge topic, right? You can see that international trade and Chinese economy. It's a huge one. Yeah, but I'm a trade economist, so I guess maybe we can focus some special topic from different special angle to see Chinese economy from international trade. The first thing is that we just roughly to show you something. It's that's a basic outline for our presentation. The first thing I want to say, international economic change. It changed lots. We global economy not very stable and we still suffer from the COVID-19 from almost the 2 years or at least 1.5 years. So we still suffer and a lot of things change. And we see companies profit rate in globally decreasing and new industry booming, but not enough to subsidize the job loss from the whatever's economic recession or going down. And we can say whole world, like from U.S. economy, European unions and China, this Asia and Latin American, always not that good. And the Chinese economy sounds relatively good, but we can talk later. There's something we'll talk about this when we in a crisis or just stepping down. The people want to talk about how can we cooperate together. And generally speaking, WTO, like World Trade Organization, still better choice because we didn't have a better one. So we keep going. But one thing I want to mention is one beyond this WTO, and we still talk about the 3 big trade blocks in the world. As actually It's like mentioned, like United States is International Trade Commission in roughly a dozen years ago. To find is in the whole world they have the three trading blocks like this. It's like you have huge the trade inside this block, whatever intermediate goods or final goods, and they produce, they buy and sell everything in blocks one. EU is one, European Union, and NAFTA, well, now change name, becomes as the custom, and also East Asia. That the three one is very significant. The first two is FTA, it's a free trade organization, but Asia is not. East Asia is no any trade one. That's its previous situation. Now change. The China organized, actually organized. We can have the RCEP, RCEP, which is like have the 15 countries. Basically, these 15 countries is the Southeast Asia Economic Association. They have 10 countries. They plus China, South Korea, and Japan. That's previously we called it 10 plus 3, and now I have two more. It's one Australia and also the New Zealand. They're supposed to have India before, but India quit in the final stage because they worried about too much import will hurt the domestic industry. So what we talk about here is like these are three trading blocks exist a long time, and currently still this way. So now it's number one. We can see it's a very clear trend is that we need to cooperate closer, and when we do have some kind of like trade agreement something, and you can see that it's like there's a trading blocks in the 2015. And for the United States, China, Japan as individual country, and also have some significant country, and also have some the unions. And last one is EU 27 country. Then the Greece is one of them. So you can see that it's they have each trading blocks really make sense. So the first thing is we can say the trade between China and the EU definitely bring the most of benefit to EU and for Chinese. And Greece is one of EU countries, so that's obviously they have benefited this one. And they also have data. A second one we want to show that is like when we have the RCEP, they didn't say anything. The only block in East Asia. In other words, is other country also apply to RCEP, RCEP. Then, so in other way, it's like a sort of other country want to join this group, and according to general understanding, as long as you economy involved this area and have trading, they have trade agreements, it's kind of the arrangement would be much better to reduce the trade barrier and reduce your cost and bring benefit. So RCEP, RCEP, that's one, is still open to other countries, including Greece, what I say, okay? That's one. And another thing, keep going, you can see that it's like beyond these three trading blocks, and we can say China recommended one Belt One Road, like the OBOR or just a BNR. Well, my friends will be talk this issue more, so I don't want to focus too much. But that's one of the things is to connect. These are three countries, three trading blocks together to get more benefit. And what I would say is next one is CPTPP. Previously, the United States control this group and want to have another kind of trading bloc for the Pacific area, but U.S. is like Donald Trump's administration quit this one, and Biden administration didn't clearly to see they will come back. But that's a very important thing. That's the same way what we talk about because the country beyond the Pacific area still can join if you want. China is show very clear idea is the beyond is RCEP. They still want to join CPTPP. There's our president, Xi Jinping, to mention that clearly in public. And also another news is the United Kingdom also apply CPTPP officially. So I think it's other countries, including Greece, if we have more connection with Asia, one of hottest area for internet economy and international trade. That could be a possibility to increasing your economic growth more if you can join more this kind of arrangement, as long as you have this economics, connection to this area. I think that's obviously, we have this. Yeah. So that's some map. We didn't have too much time, but we can show that is whatever for intermediate goods and final goods. These are three colors, means the three trading blocks. You can see most of things trading within inside, and from imports and from exports as well. Okay, and for that's like basically I want to say that way. We also show like the One Belt One Road is like connection for this one, but as we can, colleague will say more. So we of course say that that's imported goods, that's manufacturing. That the last picture is for intermediate goods, and also for that's value added. That's we are very interesting things here. So you can see that that's different style to show the most of trade within this three area. So this, I think that if general speaking, if connection between the Greece and China, and they can on the different organization or like coverage to do that. And one is we do have as trading with China and the European Union, and also Greece can join some trade or the agreements, regional trade agreements, as long as it's open to others. And moreover, I think China still searching more bilateral trade agreements to other countries. So that could be interesting opportunity for both countries to talk more. Yeah. So that's basically what I talk about trade and other things for China economy. I guess I'll have 1 minute still here, right? So I just say China economy is keep going fasterly, and this last year is this worst year for China, but increasing still 2.3%, could be highest in the top 10 countries. And this year is different forecast. Generally speaking, it's more than 16%. So there's a huge recovery. And China's contribution to world economy is consistently more than 30%. So that way is China's growth faster will be bring the world more. So that is for general situation for China's economy. And combined what we said before is about international trade. We can expect that we have a very good future for binary cooperation in economic in the economics cooperation, or from different way. Okay, that's what I can talk about today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Yin. Now, I welcome Professor Nikos Vetas, Director General of the Foundation for Economic and Industrial Research in Greece. Professor Vetas' topic is the Greek economy, similarities and differences between Greece and China. Professor Vetas?
Thank you, Alicia. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very pleased to be part of this very interesting conference. And I congratulate and thank the rector and the Confucius Institute. Let me be brief. I'm going to say a few things about the Greek economy, and then I'm going to try to connect this with the current global trends in trade and in investment. So Greece is an amazingly interesting business case because it has suffered the most than any other economy over the last now 12, 13 years, since 2008, the most by far. If you read this the other way around, the upside potential is now huge, as there is a great investment gap and also gap from the productivity frontier. Where are we overall with the COVID effect? This is in one graph, how COVID has affected major economies in Europe and also the US. So this was a completely unexpected shock. Greece, you can also see, that was not hit the worst. It is recovering. Recovery in the first quarter of the current year was actually, the recession there was smaller, much smaller than initially predicted, which means that for the whole year, it appears the Greek economy will recover reasonably well, despite the high dependence of the Greek economy on sectors that are directly hit by COVID, such as tourism and transport. This is also something that you can see in the economic confidence indicators. Greece is here, the green or whatever this line is, and this is compared with the European averages, where you can actually see this sudden drop in economic sentiment starting in March of 2020. But these economic sentiment indicators that are based on structured questionnaires, econometrics shows that they are very good early indicators of actual economic activity. So this basically means that the Greek economy should be recovering quite well in the next year, assuming that we don't have new unexpected surprises. Now, these graphs are also kind of interesting, because they show the big disruption as if it was killed with a knife. You see here of global trade, but global trade appears it is now higher than before. So the COVID incident had a very strong effect. So you can basically see here how much global trade was affected. But there is a recovery, and this recovery actually was quite sudden in the sense that demand cannot keep up with supply in many commodities. So commodity prices appear to be jumping up in the next 2 or 3 months. Having said that, the Greek economy, as I was saying before, comes out of the last 15 years or so like it is in a roller coaster. Greece enjoyed quite heavy and strong growth in the years before the global financial crisis. Those were also the years in anticipation and after Greece joined the common currency, euro. But then you can see these negative bars where Greece suffered cumulative real GDP declines that they were unprecedented. And 3 rescue programs with the IMF and the European partners. Greece has been in positive growth territory, as you can see here towards the end, since 2017, but then we were hit also with COVID. Overall, the Greek economy, here are 4 characteristics. You can actually see that private consumption is a major GDP component, much more than in the other European countries. The flip side of this is that there is a big investment gap. So Greece is in dire need of foreign direct investment, but also financial investment. However, during the adjustment programs, these programs decreased consumption. They also decreased labor unit costs. And as a result of this, the trade balance went quite well. You can actually see that exports of goods have been increasing, and the overall shortage in the trade balance has decreased. You can see on the graph down here. Having said that, Greece, because it cannot avoid its favorable geographic location and weather and history, it attracts a lot of tourism. So you can, and in fact, you can actually see that gradually since 2012, tourism has been doing quite well in Greece. Many say that there is an overdependence. The truth is that the sky is the limit for tourism in Greece. For instance, for countries like China, there is a lot less incoming tourism than could be. This could be easily multiplied by a factor of 3 or 4. However, at the same time, Greece also needs to strengthen its manufacturing basis. And it can do this now because I really don't want to dwell on this too much, but there was a major fiscal adjustment that happened in the last 10 years. As a result of that, the fiscal deficits were decreased. Expenditures primarily, tax revenue increased. And so the fiscal side of things in Greece is now more or less in order, taking into account that, yes, there is a big public debt, but this public debt is really long-term and under the control of European entities. Here is the very impressive improvement in the current account that happened in Greece during the programs. But here is also the investment gap that I was talking about. As you can basically see, these are the same numbers, provisional numbers that we have even for 2020. But there is a significant gap for which Greece needs to invest more. Part of this is going to be the new European initiatives, what they call the Recovery and Resilience Fund. But Greece does need to diversify its investment basis. And so it is looking also for investment from major economies. This brings me to one of the weak points in the Greek economy thus far. Even during the high growth years that I was showing you before, incoming foreign direct investment was very low, much lower, not only than countries like Germany, but also similar European periphery countries like Spain and Portugal. And it is one of the of these governments and economic policy priorities to attract more foreign direct investment. Exports, on the other hand, and now I'm leaving aside tourism, which is export of services, exports of goods have been doing quite well in some areas that are not obvious. For instance, Greek refineries, they are imported unrefined oil, but then they're increasingly selling refined products to the general area. Food, where because of its good brand name, Mediterranean diet and all of that, there is huge potential for growth. Pharmaceuticals lately and metals and so on and so forth. So there is a very diversified exporting basis for Greece. And at the same time, Greece can benefit over the next few years, and that is the economic plan, in at least 4 areas that have to do with technological developments and digital use of data and so on and so forth. Then there is all the green economy. Then there is the shift towards heavier manufacturing and incorporating technology, but also areas where there is improvement in the healthcare system, the education system, etc. In a nutshell, we are not over, I'm afraid, with the COVID-19 pandemic. We cannot be certain, but no matter how you look at it, at this point, the prospects for recovery are strong. So you expect that unless we have significant negative surprises, the next 3 or 4 years will be years of high growth, also supported, as I said before, by European programs. There is this investment gap. This investment gap has many roots. One of the reasons was that during the last 10 years of a crisis, there was very significant uncertainty, and uncertainty is one thing that keeps investors out. This is now being reversed. Another reason was the lack of access to inexpensive finance. This is also being reversed. But the third reason was that there wasn't much connection with projects where investment can have high returns, like the digital transformation, tourism, and transport. And we do see positive signs in the Greek economy right now. Nonetheless, and I'm going to make a final statement that one can read, especially from the viewpoint of a large and strong economy like China, can read what I'm going to say in a positive and in a negative manner. In the last few decades, Greece evolved relative to the other European economies of comparable size as a much closer economy. It wasn't just the small percentage of incoming foreign direct investment. It was also the reasonably low rate of trade in exports and imports, and so on and so forth. Greece cannot grow unless it becomes more open. We do need multinationals to come to Greece. We need Greek companies to develop themselves into multinationals that would sell abroad. We need more specialization and movement of people. We need, in my view, a stronger immigration policy so that others can live in Greece where the living conditions are great. There is this path where Greece becomes a much more open economy and benefiting by the strong institutional foundations, the Eurozone, the strong currency and stability. One can paint a very positive story, starting from a very negative story of the last 10 years. And in that sense, I do believe there is a window of opportunity in the next 2 or 3 years where the global economy is expected, again, if we don't have any other crisis, is expected to grow, that Greece is going to grow even more. That was my presentation. I hope I didn't overshoot the time too much. And I hope this was helpful for the general discussion we're having today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vetas. Thank you very much. We continue our online event with Professor Evangelos Syrigos, Deputy Minister for Higher Education at the Hellenic Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs. Mr. Deputy Minister will talk on Greece, China, bilateral relations in education.
The first bilateral agreement between Greece and China has been signed in 1979. Since then, a lot of time has passed, and we are now in a position to broaden our horizons and exchange students between our two countries. Greece, as a member state of the European Union, participates in many activities which are directly connected with the agreement between the European Union and China, and the bilateral protocols that have been signed, as well as the bilateral protocols that have been signed between Greek higher educations, between Greek universities and the relevant institutions in China. And I consider it's very important the progress that has been made in relation with the cooperation agreement between Greece and China for the period 2020 up to 2023. I'm very glad that I participate in this event where we have the Institute Confucius. And I consider this very, very important because of the great differences between the two countries. Therefore, the learning of the Chinese language is a key for any fruitful cooperation in the future. The Center for Greek Studies in Beijing was initiated by the late Chinese ambassador in Athens, Yang Guangsheng, who was a person who loved Greece. Actually, he was reading the Greek daily Kathimerini until his death. And Mr. Yang Guangsheng taught initially in this center. We have also seats for Greek universities, both in Shanghai and in Guangzhou. And we're really interested in the promotion of the bilateral exchange of students. And we hope we have started some new programs both in the University of Athens and in the University of Thessaloniki, which are offering undergraduate courses in English. We have the agreements between universities like the Greek Economic University. We really look forward to broaden this cooperation in the future and to see how this will enter in the strategic initiative by China, the Belt and Road Initiative. Well, that's all. I hope the best for the continuation of your of today's program.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much. So we continue with the welcome speech. We will continue with Research Assistant Professor Wei-Kin Xie from Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences in China. Professor Xie will speak on Belt and Road Initiative, challenges and opportunities.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this very, very important conference. So I will give a very brief talk on the Belt and Road Initiative. So the presentation typically having two parts, but depending on the time, I'm pretty sure I can finish the first part. Okay. The first part is actually I'm going to talk about the trade, the potential trade and investment opportunities between China versus the rest of the Belt and Road countries. This is actually the original map for the very starting plan for the Belt and Road Initiative for China. And you can see that we have two parts. One is actually the land one going to Europe, and also the sea one, the final destination is also Europe. So let's first looking at the GDP per capita. This is the real GDP per capita. So along the Belt and Road the red bar is actually China. So you can see that this is one compare China to the rest of the Asian countries. China apparently is in the middle level of the GDP. If we talk about the well-being of the country, so China is around the middle level of the GDP per capita along all the Asian countries under this kind of Belt and Road Initiative. So this is actually China versus the Eastern European countries. So if you're looking at the Eastern European countries, China is still having a relatively lower GDP per capita, so economic development is actually not as good as the Eastern European countries. This is actually the Southern European countries. So I haven't listed the Middle European and Western European countries, but you can obviously see that China's economic development, though China's economic size is big, but the economic development is not as good as most, so as advanced as most Southern European countries. And we can see that this is actually the number for Greek and Italy, and this is actually Spain. So there are three parts I'm going to talk about for the potential trade opportunities between China versus the Belt and Road countries. The first part we are going to talk about is actually the trade values. The second part is actually something we call the trade varieties. So how many different kinds of goods we're actually trading between countries. The last part is actually we're going to talk about a little bit for the intra-industry versus inter-industry trade along the Belt and Road. So this is actually the two charts. One show the export value versus the PP adjusted GDP. The other part show the import value versus PPP adjusted GDP. It is very clear that under this kind of the traditional trade gravity model, it is very clear that China tends to trade with relatively larger country and richer country. Though India never signed any bilateral trade agreement, never agreed to join the Belt and Road Initiative at all. But you guys see that we did trade much more with India, right? This is India. And we also trade a lot with Southern European countries, because Southern European countries, even the economic size is not huge, but are relatively richer. And we also trade more with our closer friends, such as like Malaysia and Indonesia or something like that. So this is actually the trade values. From the trade values, we can see that it's very clear that China tends to trade with relatively bigger economy and richer countries. The second part is something which I'm going to talk about is actually the the trade varieties. So how many different kinds of goods we are trade. So for some countries, we may only trade gas with, and for some countries that we may trade all different kinds of intermediate inputs as well as final goods and services. So the left-hand chart is also export variety. The right-hand chart is actually import variety. And it's also compared to the PPP adjusted GDP. That means the real GDP. And you guys probably can see that's a very similar charts. The first thing that's for China export to the rest of the world, there are definitely more varieties compared to China imports from the rest of the world, right? There's two lines, actually, there's difference, right? But the trend is very similar that there are actually more trade opportunities with countries that are richer and more developed and also bigger. So for most of Southern European countries, the varieties, there's actually more we actually are trading with. And interestingly, like that, here is actually the Greek. It's exactly in the middle range. So there are actually more we can develop with Greek for the international trade program. Okay, so we also want to show there's actually a comparison when we talk about the trade varieties. There's a comparison. So if we actually include the Chinese biggest trading partner like USA and Japan, and I think I include USA, Japan, Brazil, Britain, and also Germany here. So here is the US, here is actually Japan, and I believe this is Britain, and this is actually Germany. You guys can see that China did trade along the Belt and Road countries from the recent data. We actually having a very large trade volume. It counts about 30% of the export value for China and also counts about 30% for the import value for China. But there are 140 countries we are talking about since China has already signed. So there are 140 countries join the Belt and Road Initiative. So there are about more than like 220 countries under the United Nations. So most of the countries actually joined the so-called Belt and Road Initiative. So this 140 countries China trade with is actually counting for 30%. This is actually a very, very large. If we try to imagine the Belt and Road Initiative is kind of a regional economic integration, something like that. So you can see that this is actually, it covers a large number of population, it also covers a large number of GDP. But for China, there's only around 33, 1/3 of the trading volume with the 140 countries, while US, Japan, Germany, actually their weight, and also Korea, their weight trading with China is actually much bigger. So this is actually, we try to compare those countries who haven't joined the Belt and Road Initiative, but they are very big, important trading partner with China, versus the Belt and Road Initiative will actually happen in the past couple of years. So then we want to look at something we call intra-industry versus inter-industry trade. So intra-industry trade, that means we are actually trading very similar goods. It's more like an intermediate impulse trading. And intra-industry has an additional advantage because it can generate positive technology spillover through trading. This is something in the international trade literature, we call that learning from exporting or learning from importing effect, because countries are producing very similar but differentiated goods. And if we trade in this kind of the same category, so we can learn each other's production technology very easily. While inter-industry trade is more like a traditional, so we trade from different sectors. And inter-industry trade is more like a resource-driven story. For example, that China does not have much gas, so we actually have to import gas from Russia, from Kazakhstan, right? So this is a very clear trend. The left-hand chart is actually a comparison chart. The left-hand chart is actually the intra-industry trade index. It's called Group Lloyd Index. You can look at the distribution. The left-hand side chart is China versus the rest of the world. So if we're looking at China trading with all the rest of the trading partner, so This one is actually the distribution for the intra-industry trade versus inter-industry trade. So the more closer to 1, if there are more bars closer to 0, that means there are more inter-industry going on. If there are more bars close to 1, that means there's more intra-industry trade going on. You can see that this is China versus the rest of the world. This one is China versus the Belt and Road Asian country, Kazakhstan. So looking at Kazakhstan, the distribution looks completely different. You can see that when China is trying to trade with Kazakhstan, it's more like inter-industry trade. So this type of trade is actually more resource-driven, as I've mentioned, and also we cannot learn. There's just not much way for us to learn from each other by import and export. So this is China versus Kazakhstan. The second chart is actually China versus India. So you can see that the Indian chart and the China chart is also more, even China and India are both very, very popular for our abundance in the unskilled labor. But we can still see that there's not much intra-industry trade going on for China versus India compared to China versus the rest of the world. The last one is actually the China versus Italy. So this is actually the world chart, the same chart as the comparison. So you guys probably see that the China versus Italy, this chart look very similar, much similar than the China versus the rest of the world. So typically when China is trading with more advanced economy and richer countries and larger economy, so we actually, if there are more on the intra-industry trade, that means we can actually learn more. So this trading is not only a joint welfare increase, but also generates positive externality effects. Okay, so I think I will just finish everything under this chart. So under the Belt and Road Initiative, so first of all, that China probably want to further extend international relationship with bigger economy, larger real GDP, or better developed countries, higher GDP per capita. That means Southern European countries are actually much better choice than most Asian countries. Second is we would like to increase the weight for the intra-industry trade with countries having comparative advantage on some manufacturing sectors, especially the high-tech manufacturing sectors. Third is we would like to strengthen the social cultural relationship with European countries through international trade relationship along the Bilateral Initiative. We try to learn from each other. And the last one that is actually possible better. This is also a reason why China signed the RCEP and the China-Europe free investment relationship, something like that. So we try to expand the Belt and Road framework, try to including most of our important trading partner, and also as well as the European area. So that's my presentation. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Xie. Now, I would like to present you Georgios Theodoropoulos, Chair Professor at the Southern University of Science and Technology in China. Professor Theodoropoulos will talk on technological advancements in China, opportunities for collaboration. Professor Theodoropoulos.
So let me start by thanking you for this invitation, and a great honor to participate in this event. The 10-year anniversary of the Confucius Institute. This is a remarkable milestone, and the achievements as were described earlier, really astonishing. So I was asked to talk about technological advancements in China and opportunities for collaborations. I'm a chair professor of computer science in SASTEC in Shenzhen. SASTEC is the Southern University of Science and Technology. I also have another affiliation that might be relevant for this event today. I co-chair the high-tech committee of the Chamber for the Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation, and under the leadership of President Provatas, we try to establish bilateral opportunities for collaborations in this sector. So the last few weeks we witnessed some remarkable achievements coming from China. 3 Chinese astronauts landed in the space station of China. And also we had the first real sound from Mars coming from the Chinese rover who is rolling around Mars, the Zhurong. So these are remarkable achievements, but these are just culminations of developments over the last years. I have here some figures. The spending on research and development in China has increased from 70 billion in 2008 US dollars to 380 billion into 2020. There is a massive increase in the number of patents that have been granted in China between 2008 and 2020, 17.1% year-over-year increase. In terms of publications, China ranks second in the world on high-quality scientific research output in the field of natural sciences, and this is based on the Nature Index of 2020. And it is the fastest rising country in the world on research output in the last few years consistently. In terms of technology transaction volume, again, there is a remarkable increase between in the last 10 years, 12 years. So it has reached like 2.8 trillion yuan. So it has increased more than 10 times. In terms of the high-tech industry, 5G obviously is a leading technology. So the 5G base stations in China cover 7% of the world's, and also the energy vehicles in China ranks first in the world for 6 consecutive years. And these are figures provided by People's Daily. The 14th five-year plan that was released recently set some key strategic priorities and targets for China. For example, there is a shift towards consumption-based model. There is a trend towards urbanization. But at the core of the plan is the elevation of science, research and development, and technological innovation, including digitization, to a matter of national strategic importance. So science and technology are at the core of the plan. I think one should also mention the fact that the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are also at the core of this plan, and the plan for China to reach zero net emissions by 2060. The plan also outlines a very robust ecosystem between academia, government, and industry to support this national plan to put essentially science and technology at the core of the development. There are initiatives about international innovation centers and also national centers. In terms of academia, the aim is to double the number of world-class universities, also set up a large number of new research universities, and I have some figures later. And also from the industry, again, support for collaboration with academia, of course, industry research institutes, but also financial models to support investments in that space. And again, I would like maybe to mention that impact investment is also at the core of the plan, and investment should be aligned with SDGs, which is I think very, very important. There is a strong base to support these plans. China has some of the world's top universities. We can see here 6 of China's universities are in the top 100. Also, there is a trend to create new research universities from scratch at the national level. So there is a plan to create almost 3,000 new universities in 2020 across the country. All this is supported by 3 major areas, or the national innovation engines, if you like. One is around Beijing, the Tianjin-Hebei integration plan. Then there is also the initiative around the Yangtze River Delta, around Shanghai, and of course the Greater Bay Area, around Shenzhen and Hong Kong, and also the recent Shenzhen pilot demonstration area plan, where Shenzhen is going to act as to develop as a pilot, as a global actually pilot for sustainable development. The area around Greater Bay Area is around Guangzhou, Hong Kong, and Macau and Shenzhen, as I mentioned. And these developments create new opportunities for international cooperation in investment, innovation, and education. These are some somewhat old figures. This is from an article in Economist 4 years back about the area. The Economist presented as a region once known for copycat products has emerged as a world-class cluster for innovation, and this is the Greater Bay Area. So its GDP is almost 2/3 of Tokyo. It equals the New York Bay. It's double the Los Angeles Bay. Half of the foreign trade of China is there. 1/5 of the FDI inflows, etc. So it's a very important area, and it is supported by a large number of new universities that are being established around the area. And I give you here some figures in different cities and different regions. Also, there is a trend from universities from Hong Kong, which are world class, to actually move to the other side of the border, I should say, and establish a presence around the bay. Shenzhen is China's hub of innovation. It's considered the China's Silicon Valley. It is home to high-tech giants, well-known global giants, Huawei, Tencent, DJI, which is the biggest drone company in the world. They all have their headquarters there. BYD, the cars. So it is also the number one among Chinese cities in PCT applications, in patent applications since 2004, and hosts also 8 of the global 500 Fortune Global 500 companies. The pillar industries are high-tech, financial services, logistics, and creative industry. And the emerging industries in terms of GDP, new generation IT, biotech, there is a strong emphasis on that, advanced manufacturing, robotics, new energy, because this comes with to support the sustainability agenda, and green tech. And for the future, life sciences, deep sea exploration, future internet and brain-inspired intelligence. Intelligence is at the core, essentially, of all technological developments in the area. Interestingly, if we see the development of universities in the area since the establishment of the city, Shenzhen is a relatively new city. It was established 40 years ago. And during that time, during the last 30 years, a large number of universities have been set up. And of course, you cannot have technological development and innovation unless you have a strong ecosystem of academic research and universities in the area. And Shenzhen obviously has recognized this. So you can see the development of new universities in the area. And you can also see here SASTEC, the university that I work for. So let me say a few things about SASTEC, because I think it's an indicative example of an initiative that with a rapid advance in the global rankings, and how you can start from scratch a very, very successful university with a strong emphasis on research and excellence, and international university. So SASTEC started in 2007, the Shenzhen government decided to create that. So SASTEC is a public university. It is funded entirely by the Shenzhen government. And essentially, the official establishment was in 2010. And actually, like the Confucius Institute, we also celebrated the 10 years of SASTEC this year. Now, within these 10 years, SASTEC has an amazing growth and an amazing jump in the global rankings. At the moment, it is 8th in China, and according to the time higher education, but also 253 position globally, which is a remarkable achievement for a new university. If we look at Nature Index, that reflects the quality of the research that comes out of that place. Actually, SASTEC is number 1 in China in Nature Index, and number 43 in the world. So it's really amazing. In terms of collaboration, because we talked about opportunities for collaboration, so SASTEC, and as I said, SASTEC is an example, is an indicative example of this new generation of universities, international universities that are being set up in China. We have a large number of partnerships with top universities around the world, in the US, in Europe, and in Asia. There is no cooperation agreement with Greece, with any of the Greek universities, and so there is a huge opportunity there. And these partnerships include are at different levels, at the undergraduate teaching, student exchange, joint degrees, also joint PhD programs. We have a number of joint PhD programs where we provide funding for the students, and the students split their time between the partner institution and SASTEC. Minister Siri was earlier mentioned the framework, the cooperation framework between Greece and China, but also Europe and China. And here is a successful example of such, in the context of this cooperation. This is a European project, a project funded by the European Horizon 2020 program. China is eligible to participate in this large research projects based on the EU-China agreements. And this is a project where SASTEC participates. It is about using digital twins for smart city applications, for smart logistics in this particular case. And we are developing technologies that will be deployed in 6 European cities and 1 Chinese city, which will be Shenzhen. So this renders Shenzhen a hub, essentially, of excellence in that space. And interestingly, this project is coordinated by a Greek company. So I think that's a very good example of opportunities for collaboration. We do other things as well, and there are other opportunities to collaborate. I'm talking about SASTEC. We organize this international forum on technology transfer, where we bring together a large number of enterprises from overseas, and we link them with partner universities. And we explore opportunities for commercialization and for technology transfer. So this is about innovation, not just academic research. Very, very successful model, and we have been doing it for a number of years. Obviously, COVID didn't allow us to do it in 2021. So that's what I had to say. So thank you so much. And thank you again for this opportunity to participate in this important event. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Theodoropoulos. Thank you very much. And now we continue with part C, our roundtable discussion, which is about China and Greece business opportunities and entrepreneurial challenges. I would like to introduce you Mr. Zervaridis, General Manager, Kliman China, who will speak on challenges and opportunities of doing business in China, the case of Kliman.
Good morning to all distinguished participants. Good afternoon for those that are participate from China. It's a great pleasure for me to participate in this event. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zervaridis, and I'm working for Kliman Group for the last 14 years. In my last 8 years, I'm a part of our strategy to expand our business in China. Kliman is a multinational complete lift manufacturer, and our story began 40 years ago when our president bought the German company Kliman Hubtechnik and moved completely the factory in Greece, in the city of Kilkis. Since then, Kliman became a global player, and today we're proud to say that we are between the top 10 players of our industry. The 90% of our sales revenue is coming from exports. We're present in more than 100 countries around the world. And we have 3 factories. The first one in Greece, second one in Serbia, and the last and third one in China. This is our factory in China. It's an investment of $15 million, started in 2016 and completed in 3 years. Now it's completely functional. It's located very close to Shanghai in a city called Kunshan, Jiangsu province. And after my experience during this investment and all these years, I can, let's say, summarize some points. First of all, why China? China is the biggest market for our industry worldwide. And I believe that it's not only for our industry, but also for every industry and every kind of product. Another reason to be in China is the massive supply chain. Of course, being a leading country in the manufacturing industry, China developed a massive supply chain that gives a lot of advantages in every manufacturer. Of course, competitive costs, not only due to the labor cost, but also due to the supply chain costs. And of course, for the future potential. To be in China and invest in China, it's a very important thing to give you long-term business development and expand not only in China, but also in the Asian markets that are also very important and very fast developed markets. Business risks. First of all, it's a completely different legal framework with what we have used in Europe. So it's very important to consider issues like the contracts you are signing, copyright issues. And in general, this is a very important thing to consider doing business in China. Second is the cultural differences. As you all can understand, it's a totally different country and people. We have to respect, and believe me, there are a lot of similarities as well. So going to China, we have to adapt and respect this culture and focus on the win-win business situation. Another thing is the human resources selection. Because China is being developed very fast during the last years, it's very difficult, very challenging, I can say, to find the right people. And sometimes this also it's quite expensive, but it's very important for any kind of business. Last but not least is the language barriers. It's a totally different language, very difficult to learn, but we don't have to underestimate the importance of the language. I think it's very important for someone that wants to make business in China to learn the language. So if I want to summarize, starting business in China, it's very important, first of all, to choose the proper area. We can see from our experience that every part of China is very strong in specific industries, in specific, let's say, products. And before investing in these kind of areas, it's very important to compare and check what are the incentives from the local governments and what are the advantages that the area can give to you and your business. Then you should find the right lawyers, starting from labor issues or investment issues, and of course, the right partners, local partners. plan for the long term, because as I said before, China is, there is a lot of potential for the future in doing business in China. And despite all the difficulties and challenges, I think that we should focus in win business and take out the negative, let's say, experiences being and working in China. First of all, China is a very safe environment for everyone. And there are a lot of similarities with the Greek culture and a lot of mutual respect between our people. So overall, I think it's a positive experience and can give a lot of potential to any kind of business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zervaridis. Thank you so much. Captain Wen Lin, Deputy CEO of Piraeus Port Authority SA, will talk on challenges and opportunities of doing business in Greece, the case of the Piraeus Port Authority.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here, was invited to participate in such one. First of all, everybody is aware the PPA is the name of Port of Piraeus Authority Limited Company. What I like to share some the slides of this, what we achieved, what we are since we step in working in Greece. It's been over 10 years. So when it's become the challenge and opportunities for doing the business in Greece, I think many of you are the experts in the fields of this economic and the trading. And you already have this good understanding for these parts. Enterprise often grabs the opportunity from this, the respectives of the business value. COSCO Shipping Group's decisions of investing in the Port of Piraeus is based on those the values, and some the elements how will be shared as well. The first, you seeing this the slides, is the position. Piraeus Port has the value of the good nature port, and as an unbeatable geographic positions on these traditional trading routes that's connecting those, the Balkans and Southeast Europe, Central Europe, and also is very close to the main routings close to the Suez Canal. And in itself, as a nature for the navigational nautical, it's the deep water area and suitable for all the weather operations for the year round. That's as from this, the shipping and the trading, that's the position itself. Second, the value of the existing, that's the infrastructure of the ports. For example, that's the operation terminals of Piraeus Port has a ready-made railway and can be a direct connect to this the European railway network, which is convenient for the development of the land and sea intermodal transportation. It has been based on this, the booming China-Europe land sea experience lines continues to growing. That's the slides and showing some the achievements, the main parts of this Piraeus ports related to container business. Thirdly, that's the convenient policy of the Piraeus ports over these years contains the commercial value itself. The Piraeus Port Authority was established in 1930, while playing the roles in the Greek economic and the people's livelihoods for a long time. It has accumulated and owned a series of the systems and the policies for the facilities business development. That's showing the slides what we since the operate this port and what we achieved for the through ports in 2020 until 2020. If you've seen, that's the key milestones from 2008, COSCO Shipping signed these concession agreements for the Pier 2 and 3 with the name of PDF's container terminals, subsidiaries of one of our company. That's leading this port from the positions what I see in the previous the slides. And the position, what's the from the very low one and becoming as the leading groups in Europe and the fourth positions after the Hamburg. The previous 2007 only 17th parts. So the ranking has been jumping a lot, got all the attentions for that's the one. That's also contributes for the whole society and contributes for the supply chain a lot. Fourth, the stable business environment in Greece, which is a full member of the EU, is this guaranteeing for the realization of business value. This the other participants, the guests already mentioned this. The environment is a very important issue for trading. And Greece has this political stable, social stable, and gradually improved the economic, convenient conditions of the EU economic policies, and the technology, cultural tolerance, and foreign friendships. That's the part some others also mentioned. This is an important issue. On the whole, obviously the resource advantage, solid infrastructure, convenient commercial policies, stable political environments, social and cultural tolerance, and value judgments, and the business opportunities for our investments in PDS ports. For all those the reasons and the support, and also meet our COSCO shipping groups, the strategy for the global the development as a full supply chain provider. I think such a project investment meets this, the tasks, the full transportation hub. All the above factors are also the much and common opportunities for this foreign enterprise to do this business in Greece. It's based on those value, the judgments. That's why we're choosing this here, and we achieved something still ongoing and continue to keep this promise what we signed with Hellenic Republic for the investment, for this the improvements. And the opportunity and challenges often depends on each other, like the twins. So COSCO Shipping Group is facing the challenge as well, opportunity to invite investors in PDS port. The first is the challenges from this industrial chains collaborations. What we will continue working with that. With the development of the logistics industry chains, it has been highly integrated in this information exchange, business process, and the other aspects. Problems in any links will be affected to operations for those, the enterprise. PPA, the name of PDS port, has to keep the close communication with this, all the sea pilots, shipping companies, or the relevant party, even concerning this, the labor or sourcing company every day. Secondly, the challenges arising from this working ethics, traditions, different behave extra. In general, the management teams of the PPA has always maintained this, the good communication and the relationships with this, the internal trading unions of this enterprise. Additionally, this the transition from a state-owned public company to a private company was this one more challenge. That's maybe the other enterprise will not facing this one, because PDL supports is the very first one, the transferring to be privacies in Greece. Also the challenge of the social integration, and those the Western countries, especially here, because they are generally more familiar, or let's say unfamiliar, with the companies from the East. The local society will have the doubts at the beginning, which is also the issue for the company to need to consider. This requires us the stressing the communication, eliminate the doubts and exchange and understanding the thoughts through this patient, continuous and systemic external communications. The parts should be the always living throughout all the programs and the management. In Chinese language, challenge and opportunity is formed in the one word. The words will revolve that the challenge and the opportunities often coexist. So which means even this challenge, you can find the opportunity. COSCO Shipping Group's measures to deal with the challenge is to always adhere to the development concept of the mutual benefits, and the mutual benefits in the investment and operation of any project in the world. COSCO Shipping Groups insist on protecting the interest of the shareholders, employees, the customs, and giving back the society the benefits of this local economic. These slides, we have a lot of this care of the social responsibilities, the reports, what we contribute to Greece economic. So on top of that, during the difficult pandemic situations, we continue to cooperate and contribute a lot, donate to the local societies and those agencies, including the facilities, and do all what we can that help each other and cooperate each other. So the Greek government successfully restarted the cross industries and the cross business in PPNA. So all of us will enjoy the summer is coming. We continues cooperate with the authorities and also the proper prevention measures. So we restart such the cross business as the leading port in Mediterranean. So we receive a very positive the booking and the situation for the birth. The second half, the cruise will be calling here more than 450 times. And I also like to share recently what we released. That's cooperate with the Greek literatures, what we introduced such and the famous novel books were translated in Chinese to introduce the China to donations such as ceremonies only bring that's the pride of us. So I hope this sharing could be help you to be accelerate understanding and grasp the challenges, opportunity to doing the business in Greece and in your respective fields. Finally, I wish the panels would be very successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Ling. And we go on with Mr. Michalis Boutaris, co-founder and vice president of Kyriani and Moen Estate Wine Company, who will talk on challenges and opportunities of doing cross-border business in China and Greece, the case of Kyriani and Moen wine. Mr. Boutaris?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, yes, the opportunity for us was to establish a presence for Greek wine in China back in 2008. When I first visited China, there was no Greek wine. And the second twofold, challenge was that there was no premium quality of Chinese wine. So we said, let's start a venture to come to China. I moved to China. I lived there for 5 years. We established a vineyard in the northwest in the Xibei. And we are now sort of reaping the fruit of our labors. We launched the first vintage back in 2016, and the 2019 vintage will be soon exported to Greece. So in some ways, we have seen both sides of the border. We're producing China not as a facility for cheaper labor or for competitive cost or scale. It was just a challenge. Can we make the best Chinese wine? So we planted Pinot Noir, which is a variety that is quite rare. And we have worked with a Spanish winemaker, with a local, of course, Chinese partner. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into details. I want to take time a bit for the discussion since we got a bit delayed. It's, though, an interesting story of how China does not only do quantity, it can also do quality. This is a very small pilot project. You know, it's about 15 hectares, but it's a very premium quality. And so our first sectors will be Hong Kong and Japan, and we'll soon be exporting it to Greece as well. Now, in parallel, what I did was I was an ambassador of Greek wine, essentially based in Shanghai. And you can see in the center of the map of China here is Tianshui, it's where the vineyard is located. So I traveled to about 35 cities all over China. We did 120 events. We had 70 distributors. So we built our own distribution network. And we promoted not only our family's wines, Kiriani, one of the most sort of well-known boutique Greek wineries, but also Sigalas, also belonging to our group, and a related original brand, Butari. We had managed in 1 year to raise total Greek wine exports by 1% globally. Sustainability is an issue. Okay, so one of the challenges and hardest things is that size matters. Greece is very small compared to China, and in some ways, if you're too small, you don't register in the radar. And signing a contract, we did a very, very important contract with COFCO, a state-owned company dealing with food. Very similar to Costco, but for food, not for shipping. And of course, we overshoot it. You know, we both wanted to have higher volumes within reach, but of course, we did make a difference. And now, you know, if you ask, is Greek wine made in China? When I first arrived, people said, does Greece make wine? And I was saying, well, Greece was the birthplace of wine culture. Of course, there are many lessons like, you know, the liquidity of markets, the bargaining and all that. And I guess we can talk more about it during the discussion. So I close it here and looking forward to a good discussion later on.
Thank you, Mr. Boutaris. Thank you. We go on with George Polychronidis. Mr. George Polychronidis, the China Director of Plastica Kritis SA, who will talk on challenges and opportunities of doing business in China, the case of Plastica Kritis SA. Mr. Polychronidis?
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor and pleasure at the same time to be invited to participate in this conference and share our experiences with you, discussing mainly about challenges and opportunities of doing business in China. Myself, I'm George Polychronidis. I'm China Director for Plastica Kritis group of companies. I lived in China for 6 years in total. 5 of them I was heading the plant in Shanghai that we have. So a small introduction about our group. Plastica Kritis Group has a history of 50 years now. We are plastic producers, and it is important for us because we achieve to have a zero CO2 footprint. We have more than 1,000 employees, an annual production exceeding the 150,000 tons. We're exporting in more than 70 countries, and our turnover now is exceeding the 300 million euro. As I said, we are producing mainly films for greenhouses, for agricultural films for greenhouses. We are also producing master batches, which are additives, which are colors and additives that we use in the plastic industry in order to achieve properties of products. We are producing PVC pipes. Another part of our production is geomembranes. Of course, we are in the recycling process of the plastics, and we are also renewable energy producers. We have presence in 7 countries with 9 factories, more than 70 now production lines, all started in Crete 50 years back. We have another film factory in France, master batch factories spread in Europe, in Romania, Poland, Turkey, Russia, and of course the plant in China, in Shanghai. Our journey in China now, it started 2001 with the establishment of Shanghai High-Tech Plastics. Of course, we had presence in the country, but through a commercial network, not through production. In 2003, it was the startup of the first production line. At that time, it was not allowed for a foreign company to be 100% the investor of a new investment, so we're a joint venture there with a government company being the joint venture partner. After 16 years, we fully utilized the 3 production lines that we had installed in the meantime in China. And, as you can see, the space is fully occupied, and with the space fully occupied, we have to take a decision. What we are doing now? Either we have to liquidate, let's say, our investment and leave China, or we have to expand our facility and being there for the next 20, 30 years. So in 2018, we took the decision for the expansion. And the expansion was decided to be made in Anhui province. So we established Anhui High-Tech Plastic. In this year, we are completing the first phase of our investment, which it will be almost 25 million euro investment in this company, which is almost ready, the factory, and it will be running by the end of the year. And by 2027, we hope to complete the second phase of the investment, which will fully utilize the space and the capacity that we have in Anhui. We are a success story. We are in China the last 20 years. We have a recognizable brand in our products. So what is the reason? What are the reasons behind this success? First of all, it helped a lot our company, the fact that we had what we call a pioneer spirit, because we were the first foreign investment of this kind in China. Not the first Greek investment, the first foreign investment of its kind. It was clear from the beginning that we will not compete on cost, because it was very difficult to compete on cost. And our decision, our conscious decision, was to compete on quality. So we had to create innovative products, and these products to be adapted for the local market needs, and not just to try to transfer the European products to China. This could never work there. For making these products, we had to invest heavily in production lines, because that time the manufacturing base in China was lacking significantly from that in the Western world. So we invested in the state-of-the-art of production lines, and we still keep to invest and take our decisions with this having always in mind. And we created a very loyal private distribution network, showing continuously the respect to our partners, either when they were bringing good results or where they were falling behind the targets. We respect this network for the last 20 years, and this is, I could say, the power that we have today as a company in China. Now we have two factories in China, one in Shanghai and one in Anhui. And although we have 20 years experience from the market in China, we believe that there are a lot of challenges that we need to face and overcome in order to continue our presence in China. What are these challenges? The market has changed. It is not now a market that it is just trying to use Western products, but now it has become a demanding and a very well-educated local market. It is still in the growing phase because the government still invests in expanding the agricultural production, and there are provinces that they are trying to invest more and more in modern techniques in producing agricultural products. We have to say that the new generation of manufacturers in China, the local manufacturers, are very aggressive. This is a sign that appeared the last 4 or 5 years. It was not like this 10 years back, but now they are very aggressive and they are offering high quality products. You cannot underestimate now the quality of the Chinese products as you've done in the past. It's a fierce price competition. The market is relying on volumes and not on margins. This is a big difference between the approach that we are following in Greece and the approach that they are following in China, because the Greek market is quite small. Usually the companies are having margins which are quite high, but in China you cannot survive with high margins. The only way to survive there is to have big volumes with lower margins versus Europe. That's why we took the decision to make the second factor, because we had to expand our capacity in order to increase our size in the market. I mentioned it before, it's not only that the locals are offering high quality products, they are offering innovative products. Here I have to say that still the illegal copy is an issue. Still it's an issue. It's not to the extent that it was in the past, but it is still an issue in China that you are not very well protected when you are patenting your product. And the last challenge that we have to face is that changes are happening much faster than compared with Europe. So you have to be continuously alerted. What I mean by this, I will give an example, that the way that you are trading your products. If you don't have the experience of living in China, you will never understand that everything now is done through a mobile. Everything from finding a taxi up to ordering whatever you want. So it will not be a surprise for us to see that even traditional products that, like the films for the greenhouses that the farmers are using, to be ordered through a trading platform through their mobiles. And the company needs to adapt to these changes in order to serve the market, while the traditional distribution network probably will decline. So you have always to be alerted because the changes are very fast-paced. So how you will survive in China? Do you have chances to make a successful investment there? Yes, but only if you have something new to say. If you go just to supply to the market something that it is already there, you have no future. This is our experience. So only if you have something new to say, you may have future in China. I would like to thank you for your time. And I try to speed up a little bit my presentation in order to leave some space for the questions and the discussion that will follow.
Thank you, Mr. Polychronidis. Thank you so much. And now it's time to start the roundtable discussion and the questions part. So I give the floor to Mrs. Vicky Athanasoglu, CEO of VAP Law Offices, co-chair of the Chamber of Greek-Chinese Economic Cooperation and Arbitration Committee, who will moderate the discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Ariropoulou. It is an honor to be the chair of this roundtable and to be able to discuss with our honorable guests and participants, great businessmen with tremendous experience in the Chinese market, doing business, real business actually, in China. So let me revert to my honorable guests, Mr. Zervaridis, Mr. Wang Li, Captain, Mr. Boutaris, and Mr. Polychronidis. Before I will give the opportunity to respond to answers raised also in our chat, but also questions that would be interesting to everybody of us. I would like to say some very few words in relation to the honorable guests. First of all, let me introduce you to Mr. Boutaris. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Boutaris. I think only your name is not only significant, but moreover also your personality. So he is a fifth-generation Greek winemaker. He is a co-founder and vice president of Kyriani, has worked all over the world. And not only is he doing business in the wine market, but he's also active in clean tech startup, in hydroelectric power plant, etc., etc. So I think you will be able to tell us a little bit, to give us some insight on your experience in China. Thank you very much for being with us. It's a great honor. Let me revert also to Mr. Zervaridis, who is the general manager of Kliman and living actually in China for quite a long time. And he will be also able to give us some insight, maybe, on the benefits and on the obstacles of doing business in Greece. Mr. Captain Wang, I don't think that anybody is here that does not know him. Actually, thank you very much. It's a great honor for us that you are with us today. He is the Deputy CEO of the Paris Port Authority, a member of the top management with tremendous experience in doing business in Greece. Thank you very much, Captain Wang. Let me also revert to Mr. Polychronidis. Mr. Polychronidis has actually an experience of over 20 years in the Chinese market, in doing business with Plastica Kritis. And let me go right away to the questions. As Mr. Boutaris has some obligation, I would like to start with Mr. Boutaris, if this is okay with you. Mr. Boutaris.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could you give us some insight, on your experience in the Chinese market? And let me raise, from the beginning on the question: would you do it again?
Yes, of course. I would probably do it a bit differently, but it was sort of a fatal thing. You need to go there.
Can you tell us for how long have you been in China doing business, and what your experience is, in entering the market in China? What were the main
what I think is good to note that the Chinese government really fosters business in many different ways. You know, we made an investment overall of more than 2 million euros in the course of these 3-4 years that we were very active. We had about 3-4 years of preparatory work. Then there's a sort of a follow-on to sustain operations. And we paid more than 500,000 of import duties. But I felt that the Chinese government was there always to support even a foreign investor, not in a paternalistic way, but just really impressed by efficiency. And I must say that the Greek state has a lot to learn on how to help foreign businesses also do business in Greece. Granted, it's not easy, but in no place is it a walk in the park.
Can you give us a little bit, you said that you had the support of the Chinese government, which actually I think is very important also to our participants here today to hear, to give them some comfort that when going to China, they are not alone. So there is a certain framework that assists investments from abroad.
Look, you don't need the government to give you money. You know, you need the government to have a good justice system which works. You know, you have infrastructure, you have, and also when there's a contract, the government actually honors it. You know, it might take some time, but it will honor it.
That's very important, actually. Also, in our conversation, you had said that entering the Chinese market, it gave you also the opportunity to enter also other markets. May you elaborate a little bit on this?
Yes, I mean, starting off from Shanghai, which was our base, we opened up the markets in Korea, in Japan, in Hong Kong, and I think that that's the role that China plays in a way, being sort of the leader in the Asian market.
Okay, that's very interesting. We have also for you, especially Mr. Boutaris, a question from the chat. What was the main barrier actually when doing business in China?
I mean, for me, it was an uphill thing because no one actually demanded what I had to sell. You know, I mean, premium Chinese wine was an incredible hard sell, and if you plant a vineyard, you plant it for your grandchildren. Who cares? Even if we made the best wine, probably our grandchildren will be there to experience it. That's the first thing. People were thinking I was crazy going out to the outback in the Northwest. Most Chinese haven't been there, that live in the coastal areas. The other thing was that, as I mentioned, Greek wine was unheard of in China. And nobody wanted it. So many people were kind enough to tell me, come back in 3 years. Others said, never come back. You'll never sell Greek wine here. But then gradually, bit by bit, they discovered the great value that fine Greek wine has in terms of price for value. And we established, bit by bit, we found our customers. So it's very important when one thinks of China not to think of, oh, it's a big market. It's actually a very small market. It's just an aggregation of millions of sub-markets, and you need to find yours.
So thank you, Mr. Boutaris, for convincing also the Chinese friends that our Greek wine is great, as Boutaris is, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me go to Captain Wang. Mr. Wang, you have great experience here in Greece. Can you tell us a little bit, how do you understand the port of Piraeus as a gateway to prosperity?
It's quite a big question, but I think we can share some things to understanding what's really a port functions for the whole global trading and the supply chains. So for time being, no matter all the others planes around the world, they need to dealing with the trading by the transportation. What transportation is contributes nearly 80% of the global wise for the tradings, including the raw materials or the products, the parts. And ports has a very important positions on these supply chains. So without such a one, to be very stable and reliable to contribute for such in transportation and the distributions. That's the part will be affected the whole societies. And recently, since the difficulties, pandemic was happened and still ongoing to fighting with this one, I believe all the trades already facing and some of the difficulties, all the marketing is raising for the freight, and there also the difficulties for this or the delivered cargoes. So come back to this one. It has ports as the main port, as a gateway for this local source market, firstly. Secondly, as a regional, as a transshipment hub. So that's reflected such one, the whole importance and this the value itself that we contribute. And secondly, since that's the continuous, the ongoing, they also is as a hub and a gateway to support the domestics, the ferry, those islands, the supports. So I just take this a few examples for this parts. It's like the global networks, such as one is very important. Like I express why COSCO Shipping's the strategy is to becoming for transportation supply. So that's a reflector why we're working in the port and with local, with the whole society, also with the states, and to contribute to the whole society, and also the benefits for those the mutual benefit other parts. That's the partial of this understanding.
Thank you so much, Captain Wayne. This gives me right away the opportunity to ask also Mr. Polykronidis on his experience actually in China on transportation distribution network and how important this actually specific issue is for doing business either in Greece or in China. So, Mr. Polykronidis, you have 20 years of experience in China. What was the most, significant business decision that you took in China for being successful and to be able to establish your business in China? So maybe you could give us some insight, on your experience, also on your distribution network and how you actually find a way to sell your product and to bring your product actually to the end consumer.
Yes. The most critical decision, I believe, that we took in the past in order to have a success story, let's say, till today in China, is the decision that we took from the beginning to focus on quality and not on cost. This meant that we had to educate that time the market, because the market 20 years back was looking for very cheap products without taking into consideration the duration or the benefits that they were getting for their crops through the properties of the products. Educating the market, it was not easy, because you are going there to sell a product much more expensive than the existing that time, and you had to convince the people why to buy your product, especially farmers who were very poor 20 years back. So you had to explain to them and educate them about the benefits and how they will increase finally their income using your product. Why to choose your product versus a cheap one that will last only for 6 months? Why to take your double price? Only if they had a benefit. Because if Chinese will not see a benefit, they will never buy something just to say that they bought it because it's a branded name. No matter how much is their income, they will never spend the money in things that are not adding value. So that was the biggest challenge that time, to educate the market. And how we could educate this market? By training existing distributors, it was impossible. So we had to create new distributors. And through the creation of these new distributors, we established our own sales network. Today, things are changing. It's not like as it was 20 years back. Things are changing. The market now is very well educated. They are looking for high quality products. They have demands, and they are innovating. I will give you a small example. 4 years back, we made some very big investments here in Greece for producing products that at that time they were present in market, in China's market, but they are totally unknown in Europe. So when we made the investments in Greece, our customers were asking, why you are doing this? Why you are spending so much money in making new production lines that can produce such a high quality product? Why Europe does not have these needs? The Chinese market had that needs 5 years back. Now Europe is discovering the same products. And not only Europe, and Canada and United States. What I'm saying with this is that we have to forget the idea that we had in mind in the past that Chinese are followers. They are not followers. They are leading now continuously, and we can feel it very clearly in our business.
So undoubtedly, the Chinese market is a very competitive one. And what you're saying, Mr. Polychronidis, is that the quality is a major argument, actually, and a major issue for somebody to be able to establish himself in the market.
You cannot do a lot of things there.
I think Mr. Zervaridis will actually agree on this, Mr. Zervaridis, on your Finland project, that quality is above everything. Maybe you could give us also some insight on how the Chinese government helped you in establishing your business. And also, as we have a round table here, if you also see some, obstacles or some suggestion for improvement, or for doing business in China.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I have to say that I totally agree with my friend, Mr. George Polychronidis. We had exactly the same challenges to face being in the market of China. Quality is the first now to be asked from customers, and you have to compete in both quality and cost in order to be successful. So we have to educate our customers as well to adapt the quality of our product, and then we have to compete in the cost that the market is selling the product. Now, regarding the local government, during every phase of our investment in China, the local government was very supportive in every area of our business. And as Mr. Boutaris mentioned, this is something that our government has to take into consideration and probably adapt some policies, some ways of doing business, and attract foreign investments, because this is what the Chinese government is doing very well and very successful.
This is actually very nice to hear, because as also Mr. Boutaris stated, that of course we all know that China has a very complex legal and regulatory framework, but at the end of the day, the Chinese government is close to foreign investments, is supporting foreign investments. That's actually great to hear. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit out of time. I would love to continue this discussion with all of you, and I'm sure that also our participants would like to continue. But for closing this roundtable, I would like to raise one very short question, for each of you, that I raised also to Mr. Boutaris. So the question for Mr. Polychronidis and Mr. Zervaridis is, would you do it again? So would you decide again today, with all your experience looking back today, would you decide to start business in China? And for Captain Wang, I would like to ask, do you recommend that other Chinese businesses coming to Greece to establish Chinese business in Greece? So let me give you first the chair to Mr. Zervaridis, then to Mr. Polychronidis, and then to Captain Wang to close this roundtable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Definitely, yes, I will do it again. No regret. It was a great journey during the last 8.5 years for me, and there are a lot of things to learn. China is definitely a pioneer market and a pioneer country worldwide, and it's a very, very, very important experience for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Polychronidis.
At a personal level, definitely it was an experience that you cannot have it if you don't live in China. Now, at the business level, the answer for us is simple, because we are doing it again. Since we are making a new investment, this is a new beginning. The fact that we have presence there for 20 years does not guarantee that we will be successful for the next 20 years. So actually, we are starting again from zero, putting the challenge by ourselves to ourselves.
So that's great. You need to invent, when doing business in China, you need to invent yourself every now and then.
We have to do it. Otherwise, we will destroy not only the new investment, but we will destroy also the old investment.
Yeah.
Because the brand is the same for both the factories.
I think times have changed, and the market everywhere is competitive, especially in China and of course in Greece. And I think the businessmen and companies need to adapt to this new age of speediness, actually, and renovation. Captain Wang, I would like to give to you the final word. As I said, it's a great honor that you were today with us. So would you recommend to other Chinese companies and businessmen to do business in Greece?
Sure, definitely. As we PPA always introduce as a foreign joint venture companies, what we present in CIE, China International Import Exhibitions, I will highly recommend us continue to collaborate with these two countries and with the long histories. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let me close this round table. Thank you to the honorable guests. Thank you to Mr. Zervaridis, Mr. Polychronidis, Mr. Boutaris, and Captain Wang. I would like to personally thank you for this very interesting discussion, and of course, on behalf of the Chamber of Greek Chinese Economic Cooperation. Thank you so much.